kind of funny. You know, we always talk about reaching financial success. Like, it's the answer to all our problems. But what if I told you there are millionaires out there who are like actually miserable?
Yeah.
Even with all that wealth.
Right.
Doesn't make sense, does it? Like, isn't that the whole point of being rich?
It's such a weird thought, right?
Yeah. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're going to figure out why having money doesn't always mean you're happy. And more importantly, how we can avoid that trap ourselves.
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing, isn't it? We always think that if you're rich, you're automatically happy. But as we're about to see, there's way more to it than just how much money you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're looking at Kenny Martin's breakdown of Ramit Sethi's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And it's pretty eye-opening. Kenny actually tells this story about some of his millionaire clients who wouldn't even buy fresh fruit because they thought it was too expensive.
Oh, wow.
What is that all about? It just seems so backwards.
It's a perfect example of what Sethi calls the invisible prison of wealth. These people, even though they have millions, they're living with this like scarcity mindset. They've got the money, but they haven't really learned how to enjoy it. They're stuck in this cycle of being afraid and feeling like they don't have enough. Always worried about losing what they've earned.
So they have all this money, but they're still living like they're broke. That's crazy. Is it just about being more disciplined with their spending?
Not really. Sethi talks about this idea of money dials. He says we all have certain parts of our lives where spending money actually makes us happy. For some people, it might be travel. For others, it's nice dinners or spending money on their hobbies. The important thing is figuring out what your money dials are, the things that are really important to you and make your life better.
So it's not about spending without thinking, but more about being deliberate with your money and knowing what makes you happy.
Exactly. Sethi calls this conscious spending. It's about splurging on things that matter to you while being super careful with things that don't. It's way different from that old school idea of being frugal where you pinch every penny.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
It's like a personalized way to think about money, where you prioritize spending on things that match your values and make you happy. But can you give me like a real life example of this conscious spending in action? I'm still trying to picture it.
Sure. Kenny tells a story about a client named Tom who had $3 million in the bank. But guess what? He was driving around in a car with a broken AC.
Oh no.
He just couldn't bring himself to spend the money to fix it, even though he had plenty. Talk about being uncomfortable.
Poor Tom. I can't even imagine dealing with a broken AC in the summer, especially when you can afford to fix it. That invisible prison thing seems pretty real.
It definitely is. But here's where it gets interesting. Kenny introduced Tom to Sethi's money rules. These are like personalized guidelines to help you make smart spending choices that line up with your values and goals.
So instead of just reacting to expenses as they come up, you're actually setting rules to guide your spending. That makes a lot of sense. Can you give me an example of one of Tom's money rules? I'm curious how this worked for him.
One of Tom's rules was, if something saves me more than 2 hours a week or makes my life a lot better, it's worth spending money on. This one rule completely changed his perspective.
Ah, I see. So now fixing the AC isn't just an expense, it's an investment in his well-being and his time. It's amazing how a little change in thinking can have such a big impact.
Right. It's about realizing that the best return on your investment isn't always about money. Sometimes it's about investing in experiences, comfort, or things that genuinely make your life better. And that brings us to another cool concept, Sethi's rich life vision.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
What exactly is a rich life vision, and how is it different from just setting regular financial goals?
It's about creating a picture of your ideal life. And I don't just mean financially. It's about deciding what a fulfilling life means for you. What are your most important values, your passions, the things you want to achieve? It goes way beyond just hitting a certain net worth.
So it's less about getting rich and more about intentionally creating a life that feels rich in every way. It's about figuring out what truly matters to you and then using your money as a tool to get those things.
Exactly. It's about understanding that real wealth is about so much more than just money. It's about making sure your spending matches your values and creating a life that brings you joy and fulfillment. And that brings us back to those money dials. What if you actually gave yourself permission to use your money, to really focus on the things that make you happy? What would that look like for you?
That's a really good question. It really makes you think about what's really important. I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to need some time to think about that one. But before we do, I really want to know more about how to create this rich life vision. Where do you even start?
Well,
Yeah, it seems like a big task.
it is a big task. You know, you have to really think about it. And it's not something that happens overnight,
Right.
but it can be done.
Okay, cool. So how do we get started?
Well, we'll talk about that in the next part of our deep dive. so stay tuned.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear more about it.
So, in the last part, we're talking about how even millionaires can be held back by this scarcity mindset. It really challenges the idea that money automatically equals happiness.
For sure. This idea of creating a rich life vision has me thinking. But before we get into that, I want to understand those money scripts you mentioned. You said they can be really powerful.
Oh, they are. These unconscious beliefs about money that we often get from our families or from society, they have a huge impact on how we handle money, sometimes even causing us to sabotage ourselves.
So even if we have the money and the knowledge to make good financial decisions, these hidden scripts can mess us up. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it can be. And what's even worse is that we often don't even realize these scripts are there in the back of our minds, influencing our choices and keeping us stuck.
Okay, so I get that they're important. But can you give me some real examples of these money scripts? What do they actually look like?
Okay, so one common one is the belief that money is the root of all evil. People who believe this might feel bad about having money or spending it, even on things they enjoy. They might even subconsciously sabotage their own financial success because they connect money with negativity.
Wow, that's intense. So they might be limiting their own happiness because of this negative script.
Exactly. Another common script is the poverty mentality, the belief that there's never enough money to go around. Even if they're doing well financially, people with this mindset are always afraid of not having enough. They might hoard their money and miss out on enjoying it or using it to make their lives better.
It's like they're always waiting for a financial disaster, even when there's no real danger.
Right. It's like they're in survival mode, even though they have more than enough.
And then you mentioned the work till you drop script too. What happens when people believe that?
People with this script believe they have to work all the time to be successful. They might work crazy hours, sacrifice their health, their relationships, their overall well-being, all to chase money.
It's like they think they have to prove their worth through hard work, even if it makes them unhappy. It's a recipe for burnout, isn't it?
It definitely can be. And the sad thing is that all these scripts stop people from enjoying the moment and appreciating what they already have.
They're so busy chasing the next financial goal that they miss out on the good things they have now. That's a really powerful point.
It is. And that's exactly why it's so important to become aware of these scripts and see if they're actually helping us or holding us back. Because once you realize these beliefs are just stories you've been telling yourself, you can start to change them and create a better story.
So it's about taking back control and choosing to believe in a future with more abundance and happiness.
Right. It's about realizing that you have the power to change your thoughts, your beliefs, and ultimately your relationship with money. But that brings up an important question. How do you actually change these beliefs that are so ingrained in us? It sounds hard.
That's what I was thinking. You're talking about changing beliefs that we've had for years, maybe even our whole lives.
It's definitely not something that happens overnight, but it is possible. A good place to start is by paying attention to how you feel in certain situations. Like if you notice yourself feeling anxious or guilty when you spend money on yourself, that could be a sign that a limiting belief is at work.
It's like becoming a detective of your own mind, noticing those little signs that point to the underlying script.
Yeah, it's all about developing self-awareness. Once you've identified those triggers, you can start to question those beliefs. Ask yourself, is this belief based on reality? Is it actually true? Is this belief helping me?
You know, it's amazing how much our beliefs about money can affect our lives.
Yeah.
We've been talking about these money scripts and how they can hold us back even when we have plenty of the money. It really shows how important the psychological side of wealth is, which I think people often forget about.
Absolutely. And it's not just about changing what we believe, it's about actively creating a new story for ourselves, one that matches our values and what we want to achieve. And that's where Sethi's idea of a rich life vision comes in.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit earlier, but I want to explore it more. It seems like a powerful way to break free from those limiting money scripts and create a life that truly feels rich.
It is. It's like a blueprint for your ideal life, a roadmap that guides your financial choices and helps you focus on what really matters. It's more than just setting financial goals. It's about designing a life that aligns with your passions, your values, and your aspirations.
Can you give me some real-life examples of what a rich life vision might look like? I think our listeners would really benefit from hearing how this works in practice.
Of course. For some people, it might be about having the freedom to travel the world, experience different cultures, and just explore. For others, it might be about following creative passions, like starting a business, writing a book, or learning something new.
It's about giving yourself permission to invest in the things that make you excited, the things that make you feel truly alive.
Exactly. It could also be about spending more quality time with family and friends, making memories, or building a strong community. It's about knowing what brings you deep satisfaction and then using your resources to make those things happen.
This really changes how we think about retirement planning, doesn't it? It's not just about saving for the distant future, but about living a rich and meaningful life right now.
Absolutely. It's about being present and making choices today while also planning for a future that matches your vision. It's about finding that balance between enjoying the present and creating a future you're excited about.
This is so inspiring. But how do you actually go about creating this rich life vision? Where do you even start?
You start by thinking about your core values. What's truly important to you? What do you want to be remembered for? Once you have a good understanding of your values, you can start brainstorming specific goals that will help you live a life that reflects them.
It's about taking those abstract values and turning them into real goals and actions.
Exactly. And then it's about making a plan to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
This might involve setting financial milestones, learning new skills, making changes to your lifestyle, or even finding mentors or support systems to help you along the way.
So it's about taking your dreams and turning them into a real plan. It's about giving yourself the power to create the life you truly want.
Yes. And remember, your rich life vision isn't fixed. It can change as you change. As you grow and evolve, your priorities and aspirations might shift, and that's okay.
It's about being flexible and adaptable, always adjusting your vision as you learn and grow.
Exactly. It's a continuous journey of self-discovery and intentional living. And it's a journey that's different for everyone. There's no right or wrong way to create a rich life. It's about finding what truly matters to you and using what you have to create a life that is both financially secure and deeply fulfilling.
So it's really about taking charge of your financial future and using your wealth to build a life that brings you joy, meaning, and purpose. It's about understanding that true wealth is about so much more than just the numbers in your bank account.
Beautifully said. It's about living a life that feels rich in every way.
I love that. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I hope they remember that true wealth isn't about deprivation or scarcity. It's not about hoarding money or denying yourself the things you enjoy. It's about making sure your spending aligns with your passions, investing in experiences that bring you joy, and creating a life that feels abundant and fulfilling.
That's such an important message. It's about allowing yourself to enjoy your wealth and create a life that reflects who you truly are.
Exactly. And remember, it all starts with taking that first step, examining your beliefs about money, and imagining the life you really want to live.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of wealth and what it really means to live a rich life. And for our listeners who are ready to start building their own rich life vision, Kenny mentioned a great resource, the digipalms.com. They have a ton of information on personal finance and wealth building, and they even have a new series coming up that focuses on transforming your relationship with money.
That's a fantastic resource. It sounds like the perfect next step for anyone who wants to learn more and start putting these ideas into action.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as enlightening and empowering as we have. Remember, you have the power to create a life that is both financially secure and deeply fulfilling. It all starts with taking that first step.
I'm Christina Moy, and thanks for tuning in to another engaging session on the DigiPalms podcast. Don't leave just yet. Subscribe to join our community and never miss out on our cutting-edge discussions. See you next time.